Hey, good morning. My name is Jeff Fritz, and welcome back to my live stream. I call it Fritz and Friends, and we're going to write some code together today, and it's Friday. It is Friday, June. It is Friday, July 6th. It's F-sharp Friday. We're going to be writing F-sharp all day today. I'm going to be learning a little bit of F-sharp, and we're going to build a serverless application out in Azure that I've been working on. And we're going to take advantage. We're going to learn a little bit about F-sharp along the way. And should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get some music playing in the background here. I'm going to start up, let's go with purple today. So this is music written by our friend Carl Franklin. Scientifically engineered to get you in the groove, to get you focused so that you can concentrate on whatever task it is that you're working on when you get in that flow, right? Where everything kind of falls away and you just get stuff done. So if you're coding, if you're doing whatever task, working on homework, check it out, mtcb.pwop.com, or he's got an app out there, musictoflowby.com. You'll get fresh music on your phone every month if you go ahead and check that out. All right. Let me get things up and running here. Let's run over and get into Azure. I'm wearing my Heroes of the Storm hat today because last night I finished, what is it, the Heroes of Alterac? Is that the name of the current group of quests that they have out there? And I got all the awards for the past month. I'm pretty happy about that. All right, let's head over here. I'm going to start logging into Azure. So I have a couple things hanging out here that are functional apps, and I'm looking for, where did it go? We started creating last Friday we were together. Hey, Core Bob, good morning. We started creating this functional application to manage our GitHub scoreboard that you're going to see up at the top of the screen here in just a little bit. And I'm trying to remember what it was called. I think this is it, GitHub processing. I think this was it. Show me my functions. There we go. GitHub commit processor. So we started hooking up, and there's nothing here. You're kidding, right? I mean, there's literally where'd the code go? Okay, thank you. The idea, the structure that we're building here is that I have this GitHub scoreboard that we use that is right now loading data every minute from GitHub, and it's checking for updates. And GitHub actually has a webhook system here where it can send a notification to a location and you can process it, and it'll have some payload that you'll be able to parse and do something with. So what we started doing is did I announce on Twitter? I don't think I did. We started writing this function that'll receive that payload, parse it out, and based on some other learnings that we did here on stream together, we'll write those entries into a database. So I think I'm not getting all my coffee in my mouth. I think we're almost ready to start writing these entries into the database. Looking over here, let's close Twitter. Looking over here, this is the code that we wrote. Let's make it a little bit easier for you to see there. This is the code that we wrote to start parsing the data that was being pushed to us. And once again, we're doing this all with F-sharp functions running in the cloud. Oh, thank you, Dev Chatter. I appreciate the host. And what we're doing is we're receiving a blob of JSON, parsing it apart using F-sharp data, And then we're going to, right, there it is. We're parsing that data. We're grabbing the repository name here, and then we're grabbing the author of the commit that we're receiving this notification on. Hey, good morning, Dan. Good to see you. And then I'm ending right now by just saying create a response to saying handle the push from that repository from this author, so that I've got some message that says it ran properly. Heroes of F#. Not quite, but and right now the only repository hooked up to send messages over here is this one, my F# learning repository on GitHub. Hey, Chusk. Good morning. So I'm receiving this, and we can click into this, and Jeff can remember his password. I think that's my password. I hope that's my password. There we go. And if I scroll down here, you can see all the times that it was delivered, and I can even click into these, and we can see what was sent, and then right here's the payload. And we used this payload so that we could measure and understand if our code was processing properly. And looking down here, you know, there's a ton of information about the commit that was received, parsed, and placed into. Well, we didn't place it anywhere yet. Good morning, Joe Bun. And oh my gosh, it rained 40 millimeters yesterday, Janescu. That's a lot of rain. We had a bad thunderstorm this morning here in the Philadelphia area. So I've got all kinds of logging here. If I go over to Azure, right, here's the entry for this. I can click on it and it'll show me the invocation details. Function started, handling a GitHub webhook, and I believe that's the log information that I send. And then the function completed 29 milliseconds, right? I mean, literally, this is doing nothing at this point, and that's okay, because I don't need it to do a lot, right? I need it to receive this information. We're going to parse it, and we're going to stick it in a database. And then eventually we'll mine that database to create the scoreboard that you see up at the top of the screen. So here's where now you know where your rain went. Yeah, it went to Janescu there. So here's what I'm thinking. Here's where I think the next piece is here. I know how to read the contents of my payload here. I need to finish reading the rest of it. But I think I want to grab the rest of it, the rest of my data, and I need to figure out what exactly I want to store in the database so that the scoreboard reflects appropriately. The Uruguay-France World Cup game is going. Oh boy. Are we going to get some updates throughout the day on that one? Let me see. I had. What's the score over there, Janesco? We're always keeping an eye on the World Cup matches. 0-0 still, 10 minutes in. All right. No problem. Piece of cake. So we're receiving this information, and we need to figure out what structure to store it in so that when we fetch it with the scoreboard repository, the GitHub scoreboard repository that we use to build, that we can make some sense out of it. We can calculate our data properly. 2018 Friday schedule start. I don't know what that is. So, I need to figure out how and where to store this so that I can start aggregating that data, start calculating it. And I don't think I want to store it in Azure table storage because I need to do a little bit more calculation than just a straight select and go find this data. I do think I want to use Postgres or SQL Server to store the data so that I can store in this repository, right? I can store multiple columns. Let's bring up Notepad and kind of mock this up. right? Eventually, I want data to come out in the format of repository and then right, and then I want to say all time, right, some sort of a rank on that, right, and then a name, and then some number, right, that metric that we're going to use, right, and then I'm going to have 5 of those, and then we're going to have, right, this month, and then it'll be this week. That's the format that I want to retrieve the data in. If I'm retrieving the data in that format, I think the format I want to store in so that I can select and get it to aggregate on that. Blue Hopyard, thank you for the follow. The format that I think I want to store in is going to be repository, right? Date stamp. I don't need a rank, but the name, and then whatever that metric is. That way I can do my select across it and calculate at those various levels. Okay, so I have the date stamp, right? Because if I look at the hook that's delivered, right, I can either pull this timestamp for, well, is that timestamp the commit time? Right, 12/39/21. This is the commit timestamp, which I don't know if I want the commit timestamp or if I want when it was merged. What do you think, chat room? Do we want to take? Do I want to give? Right? Do I want to log metrics for when the pull request was created or when the pull request was merged? Because if I do it when the pull request was on the time the pull request was created, and these are only ever applied if it's merged, right? If the pull request is denied, then it isn't included. But if you have a long-running pull request, like 1 or 2 of the pull requests we have right now in our Stream Tools repository, they've been going on for a couple weeks here while we tinker and push back and forth some of the concepts. You will have a bunch of pull requests that occur, a bunch of commits that occur over several weeks, maybe even like we have right now, across June and July, where when we finally accept it, if I accept one of those tomorrow, let's say, all of those commits would get processed and added for July and for this week, not for weeks gone past. I think I want to log it when it's merged. Yes, Mab, that seems to make more sense. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make it... The timestamp should be when the pull request is merged because it should reflect the time when others can access the new code. Yeah, that's a good description of it, weapon of choice. Let's run with that. All right. So we know what repository is. So date stamp is the date time of the merge. And we have several commits that'll come in one notification here, right? When it's a pull request that is merged. So let me scroll down there. The second one that's here, I believe, had multiple commits. So here's SMAB, and I thought... No, this one didn't have multiple... There's one of these that had multiple commits. I know I have one staged that has multiple commits. That's a closed action. Yeah, okay, come on. Let's find the next one. User, there's Brave Cobra. Commits URL. Owner. Nope. Because what I'd like to do is I'd like to look at how many commits there are. And then the question's going to be, are we measuring the number of commits or the number of files that are changed? Right, that's the last question here is, what's the metric that we're measuring against? And I thought I was tracking over here in Stream Tools in the issues over here. Not that one. Where did it go? Here it is. Webhook refresh. Oh, gosh, here's a comment from Ashley I haven't read yet. I noticed that the current method of tracking commits tends to favor programmers like myself who make very atomic changes or who don't squash their commits for PRs. This is unfair to other contributors, but I'm not sure PR tracking would balance that out. PR stats would track how frequently contributors are submitting code changes. It doesn't measure the level of effort that goes into the work. One PR might be fixing a handful of typos, another might be refactoring large swaths of code for localization. True. Could we track both? We could track average lines of code changes per PR per commit. Figuring out which metric is the best really comes down to what we're trying to track. I'm not really sure what to suggest, but at this stage I think PRs would come out more fair in terms of tracking an individual's quantity of contributions. So that's a pretty good comment there from Ashley. And it's not a bad idea. Let's track multiple here. So let's track several metrics. Number of pull requests, number of commits, and I thought there was a way for us to track the number of lines of code that was being delivered. So here's the files that were added. So that's the head commit, files that were added. I thought there was a number of lines changed entry that shows up here. Forks, open issues, watchers, no. Size 9, I don't know what that means. Oh, look at that, it identified this was F# we were committing. Let's see. Looking for some numbers. I don't see any, but I see the number of files that are added or that are changed. I don't see the number of lines. Do you think we need the number of lines, or do you think the number of files changed is going to be enough? I mean, it's a good start, I guess. Right? So here's another push. My broadband speed just dropped significantly, so I won't be able to join in much today. Oh no. People are streaming the football. Alright, that's okay. Of course, this will be recorded and available on YouTube later. It's also available here on Twitch. Yeah, I don't see number of lines that were changed. QoS them. Quality of service, yeah. Way to go, Crypto. Yes. I think I'm just going to count the number of files that are changed. Also, Formula 1. Oh, is it Formula 1 day too? Let's see here. Files added, changed, deleted. Just sum up those So many sports. Hey, you know what? It's the original reality TV, you know? So dramatic. So, you know, so much to appreciate and understand when you see folks really dedicated to a sport and giving it their all, right? Really working it out, trying to accomplish more as a team, win a championship. My gosh. At home on ADSL. Ooh. So, all right, I think this is what I want to capture at this point. Metric, the number of PRs. So I'm literally going to log 1 for each one of these. And really the number of PRs, this could be as easy as, each one of these records is a pull request. Right, so if I have, not metric, if I have here num commits and then num files changed, you know, it wouldn't be too bad to put here just to have as a record would be not the commit ID. Isn't there a pull request ID? I could grab the delivery, but that's not going to mean anything after a while. Is that hash the pull request? Or yeah, that's got to be the pull request, right? Oh no, don't. I'm scrolling off into Never Never Land. All right, hang on. Let's grab this. Let's look at pull requests just so I can get the data map down, you know. So that one that I was looking at, is this a file? That's this one. So Charlie 8 Echo 7. Charlie 8 Echo 7. Okay. So this commit is this pull request that's being merged in. So I think I should also grab this ID, which is, oh, you know what? That's another commit. Rats. Oh no, it's right here. It's after. Right there. All right. So let's also put the PR commit ID, which is it's right there on after. Right, so that's how I'm going to find it, is I'll go down one and there's where it is, after. Okay, repository, we already know how to get repository. Date stamp is going to be, let's make it UTC now. Name is going to be, well, so there could be, so like we have here, there's several commits. I'm going to ignore where username is Webflow. Right, because this is my squash and merge. Okay, so we need to ignore commits where committer username is Webflow. Right, where committer username equals Webflow. All right. Otherwise, I want to do a for each on the commit so I can get each commit. And then I'll be able to count the distinct commit IDs in order to get the number of PRs. Each row will be the number of commits. So I don't need this. And the number of files changed is, right, commits added. Yeah, commits added dot length, removed dot length, modified dot length. Files changed equals commits added. Let's look at it like that. No, like this. Removed and modified. All right, so modified. And that'll get me the number of files changed. All right. And the name we've already got right there. So, and I'm going to need to do a for each to loop over that to make sure that I analyze every commit. What do you think? Does that look logical? And then I'll do an insert of those records using the F# data. Cool? Are we good? Am I not completely off my rocker? What do you think? I'm looking for some validation from the chat room. Now I got to remember how to use F# data because it's been 2-3 weeks since we've been in here and working on this. I feel like I need a database allocated first, right? Let's allocate a database. Let's create this table so that we can store that data. But if I'm going to be doing it with Entity Framework, I'm going to run into... So this is weird. Hey, good morning, Aaron and Cincy. This is weird. If I'm using Entity Framework and I'm building a Azure Functions application, how do I generate my database tables? How do I ensure I get my migrations properly loaded and the appropriate data model wired up to it? For each isn't functional thinking. You should be pattern matching. Yeah. I have to loop over these, right? I have to loop over... Where'd it go? I have to loop over all of the commits, right? I have to do a for loop over that. You know, I'm not matching a pattern there, right? I mean, I'm all ears if I should be doing something else, but I need to grab each one of these data points and stash them into the database. Right? Ugh. No. Loops. Yeah, I'm doing a for in. Right, it would be a for each if it was C#, but I'm going to be doing this for in to go across, right, my collection of commits that are inside the PR. Am I doing that right? Now let me go find F# data again. No. Thanks for taking that, Verizon. You didn't even get me the right answer. Stupid. All right, so here's F# data with a NuGet badge, as you can see. Where is it? There was it the wiki? Help us improve the documentation. Here it is. So I have the JSON and I want to write it out to database record. So I should be able to actually set up a record type for the database and just push it in, right? right? And none of those look like... Shoot, where was it? We had... There's the JSON provider, Azure webhook examples. And we want to... No, we don't want a template HTML. Function created with CLI. Precompiled. I'm looking for somebody who's got some templated code here that can give me that SQL connection. And I'm not seeing it. What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? Well, I was writing into a SQLite database, right? When I was first starting on this. What do we got? What are we trying to do again? So I've identified which data points I'm going to pull out of my JSON that's been submitted to me. I want to start writing them to a SQL database. And I feel like it's going to be a little bit more than just a function. Hey, death packs. It's going to be a lot more than just a function. Because, right, I need to set up the connection to... So this is reading from a CSV, and I thought we wrote into like a SQLite database here. Data viewer data, db options.options. Yeah, there it is. All right, db options use SQLite. And we're going to set that up so that it would point to either a Postgres or a SQL Server database in the cloud. Make your mapping function first from the type of the JSON record to the type of the SQLite record. Well, it'll be a SQL record, but okay. So the type that we set up for the SQL record here, there it is. So I defined like that. So if I do something similar, I feel like I'm going to start having several files here for this Azure function. I guess that's okay, right? Then we can worry about gluing it into writing to the database. Yeah, that's what I'm... Okay. So if I take this same structure here, so I'm going to need a couple of these. Let me make sure I have all my open statements. Let's just paste that in and go from there. I'm going to need Entity Framework Core. So how do I forget how I brought in... There we go. Was it in Project JSON? So we're in net 4.6. I should be able to bring in Entity Framework Core. It's interesting that Newtonsoft JSON was already there. You know? Microsoft Entity Framework Core? Am I going to get type ahead? Nope. Be nice if you could publish your data project as a library or something and consume it here to reuse the data definitions. Well, that's not a bad idea. I didn't think of that. Entity Framework Core. So if I create a little project that has how to read from... No. Okay, hang on. I think I see what you're saying. Let's drop down into a local application here. So let's go here. And let's call this GitHub processor data. I caught the stream. Hey, Joshua. Welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. All right. So let me .NET new in here. Let me do this as a, hang on. Let's make sure we choose the right project type here. Let's do this. I would really like to do this as a standard class library, but I guess we'll start with just a class library. And let's make it F#. Isn't it? Yeah. Come on. Where'd it go? Not -L. Yeah, it was a single. Okay, -O here. -F, there we go. Net standard 2.0. Cool. OData is out of beta for ASP.NET Core. Okay. Cool. I'm not sure I need to use OData for this, though. Alright, so now I have my project here. So, let's open this folder. Alright, and you know what? Where did my... There it is. I was going to say, where'd Ionide go? But there it is. Alright. So right now, I just have this. X, is that X cool? A serverless application, good question, it's an application that's really just a series of functions. It's a little bit of code that you have running out on a cloud provider. Amazon calls it Lambda. On Azure, we call them functions. And it's just a little bit of code. And let me show you what this looks like so far here. I'm just gonna yank that for right now. Come on, show me my code. Show me the code. Show me the code. There is no code. It's taking its good old time getting back to me here. There we go. So it's literally a method called run that's going to go perform just a couple of simple tasks and then do something with whatever data has been submitted to this or that it's acting on. In our case, we're going to parse some data that's being sent to us from GitHub and generate some of the statistics that'll help build that ticker you see at the top of my video there, that shows how much some of our viewers, some of our pair programmers here on stream have contributed to the projects that we're working on together. France just took the lead. Look at that, 1-0 at the 40th minute. All right. So how is this better than building your REST API? Good question. Very good question. So this is a REST endpoint. It's receiving an HTTP response, an HTTP request here, and processing it. So it is a REST API without all the ceremony of having to build a full application and deploying it. In this case, Azure, Amazon does the same thing, will host just this one endpoint and expose it so that I can connect and make a direct request to it. This way, I can focus on just building my business logic, just what I need in order to do my processing. And then I can, there's actually a billing model that fits in here really nicely, where I'm only charged for every million times this runs. And I don't know about you, but if this function runs more than 1 million times, that's a good problem. Doesn't that limit you to Azure only or such providers? So the suggestion, you can't just create a server and run it on whatever hosting provider like Linux or Windows. So and I'm going to come back to your question there, Mjoma. At this point of writing the application, I am coupled to the Azure function. What was suggested by Chusk up there is, let's pull out the business logic of the mapping from my JSON that's being uploaded in my payload, and how it saves to the database, to my database that's hosted in the cloud. Let's pull that logic out, put it into a library, so that the logic of doing the interaction that's specific to Azure is the only thing that we're coding here, and we just make a request into that common library that we can deploy. Hosting provider can cost tens of dollars per month. Serverless can cost pennies per month and scale like mad. Yes, and that's what we're learning a little bit of here. And there are ways to upload Docker containers that have just those APIs. If you want to build that, so then you can deploy regardless of your provider. You want to put it in Azure, Amazon, Google Cloud. You have that opportunity. You can certainly do that. I want to learn these features here. So what are the cons and pros here? The con, I don't have a full application here that I'm building, right? I'm kind of building a piece of this. And when I download it, and I look, and you're welcome to see the code that I'm writing here. It's in GitHub, C# Fritz, F# Learning. The code's downloaded and sitting here in this folder, and you can see exactly what I'm running. There are ways to run this with a simulator locally, but I'm in the middle of this very Rube Goldbergian. Yeah, I went there. Rube Goldbergian workflow, right? Where something happens on GitHub that triggers a webhook that pushes into this. And I could mimic that webhook to trigger this and do some testing. And that might not be a bad idea, actually. But I think we can simplify our workflow a little bit here by taking some of that business logic out, moving it into a piece of code that we can reuse and deploy a little bit easier. So the con that some people see is, at least that I see, is we've gone from 10, 15 years ago where folks would say database triggers are bad. We don't want to have a database trigger fire that goes and does some, takes some action in the database that we don't have control over, we can't watch and intercept. To actually doing that now spread across multiple systems in a very distributed application. What do you do when you need the data for your function to be first processed by another? So you would reroute so it points to a different function, right? Rube Goldberg is a good description of a big serverless con. You have to split your app into many tiny pieces. Yes. And then, right, the pro that folks would suggest is each of those tiny pieces you can scale independently. So if you have some that take up some of those functions that require more processing time than others, use more memory than others, we'll scale that up, so that you have more of those and you limit the bottleneck there. So, but that's a good way to describe it. It's stored procedures in the cloud. All right. So let's start putting my data manipulation that I'm going to be doing in there. I think it is interesting. I think you're right. I'm going to grab that JSON file that I have for my sample here. And actually, I have it here on disk. Where'd it go? I thought I had it here on disk. Oh, no. I was looking at it. Where was it? It's in my GitHub repository. Or, yeah, there it is. So this, I copied in what one of these payloads that GitHub sends looks like. So I'm just going to copy this and add a new file here, and let's call this push.json, because this is what it's doing. I thought I told it to create a file. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, copy that in. I'm trying to use middle mouse wheel scroll. Thank you. All right, so now I have that JSON file. Is that the standard background ambient sound on the stream? This is another one of our Music to Code By albums. This one is called Purple. But yeah, I think it's kind of groovy and gets us in the flow. Scaling just happens and it costs a crap ton less. Yes. Those people who worry about scaling are professionals in measuring crap tons. I feel like there's a comic there about measuring crap tons that needs to be drawn. I only created a full-blown server with C#, but I understand the advantage at scaling only the functions you need instead of the whole instance. But I'm still not fully sold on serverless. What about microservices? What other alternatives are there? Absolutely. I'm effectively building a microservice without all the ceremony of managing a server or a container. I'm literally writing just the service method, right? I don't have to worry about all the other goo around it, right? Startup methods and pipelines and validation. Azure does all that for me. So let Azure do what it does, and then I can have this function, I can have this focus on just doing my business logic. You hate being dependent on the big companies. Then build your microservices, put them in a Docker container, and deploy it as you see fit. There is, who is it? I remember seeing this. There is a Kubernetes Azure function. I forget the name of it. Yeah, you can run the runtime. OpenFast, that's it. OpenFast will let you build serverless functions on top of Docker and Kubernetes. And it looks and feels just like Azure. So you can check this out, deploy it using Kubernetes, Docker containers, and you'll get the exact same thing. And he's doing this, right? He does a little bit with Python, but you can also do it with ASP.NET Core. I don't know. Functions as a service. Right, it's a Docker container at the bottom, which means it can be whatever you'd like. And my friend Scott Hanselman has done this with ASP.NET Core, and he's got a nice write-up on his blog about it, using OpenFast and Kubernetes. So that'll get you away from being tied to the big cloud providers if you just deploy a Docker container, and you can focus then on exactly what you need. All right, I need to get in here and start building out this data interaction. It's not there. It was here. This. Oh, no problem. Right, am I saying that right? Is it cool with just a couple X's in there? Only here for like a minute and already learned something cool. OpenFast looks awesome. Great. Oh, I'm glad you like the idea of it. Just call you XCX. All right, XCX. No problem. All right, so I need to create this data structure here. So I'm gonna cheat. Copy this whole thing. Oh, Ryan, thank you so much for the subscription. using your Twitch Prime subscription here. That's a great way to support the stream. And of course, I'll match that subscription, and we'll make a big donation over to Girl Develop It, so we can support women and underserved minorities, and they can learn how to code too. Yeah, and of course, as a thanks for for subscribing, you're going to get to use the C# bot emote here in stream. So just if you check the emotes button there on the far right, where all the smiley faces and all are, you'll see there's a C# bot in there you can use now. All lowercase C# and then capital B OT, and you'll be able to use that anywhere here on Twitch, and people will know that you're a subscriber to our channel here. Yay for Girl Develop It. Absolutely. It's sad that C# and F# are not that popular in the San Francisco Bay Area. I think you're going to see that change because performance talks. And I'm going to go to the Tech Empower benchmarks real quick. Yeah, let's go to top of the benchmarks. So this is round 16 of the Tech Empower benchmarks. And let's start with plain text. So this is how fast the web servers perform. And Rust, Go, C++. Who wants to program in C++ on a web server? But if we take a look right here, is ASP.NET Core. 7 million requests per second. So, yeah. Right? And some of these are... This is the only one that is commercially supported. Right? You can call Microsoft and get support on it. These other ones are not. You're gonna be in on your own without any way to support it. So you better have really smart people. And if we look for Express and Node, wrong one. Right, 2.6 million. That's not even the real Node.js, right? There's Node.js, 826,000 requests per second. That's just raw server speed, right? So almost 7 million requests a second you can get out. It's literally 7 to 10 times faster than Node. The real one that you want to look at, though, is something like Fortunes, where it's actually doing database work. And there's ASP.NET Core going against Postgres on a Linux machine at 300,000 requests per second, and it's still faster than any other commercial server here. Right, and if we look for Node.js here, going against MongoDB, it's half the speed. All right. So, yeah, this is the one with database, right? The plain text is literally just the raw speed of the web server, which might be something that might be what you need. But most folks are interacting with a web server, and this is using ADO middleware and Postgres, and you're seeing about 250,000 requests per second. So pretty good, and they've still got stuff, and actually that's not it. This one, 300,000, almost 300,000 requests per second. So they're still working on it, but really, do you want to be writing your code in C or C++ to build your web application? Some people do. But this is ASP.NET Core running on Linux. You're going to see folks starting to pay attention to this in the Valley because it's cheap, it's free, it's open source, and it's commercially supported. You're not going to get hung out to dry. Why F#? Is that a thing? F# absolutely is a thing. It's it doesn't get. I don't think it gets enough respect among the .NET languages, and I wanted to spend some time learning it. So that's what we're doing here on Fridays, specifically focusing on F#, so that we can learn a little bit together. Hey man, says spacebar is defect. Spacebar is defect. Okay. What do you use if you don't use a spacebar? Let me know. Ryan says, not to mention C# helps you write more stable code than JavaScript or even TypeScript a lot of times. That's an opinion, I would say, because folks that write JavaScript or TypeScript will write a lot of tests to ensure that their dynamic language that they're working with there doesn't break or misbehave on them. C# being statically typed, you get that checking coming in from the compiler. You also get the checking in TypeScript. So I'm using NPG SQL. So NPG SQL is the library that this uses and runs. They've been tuning the crap out of it, and it's really helped to make this one has really helped to make the benchmark significantly faster. So we're talking about options. This is choice. There's some folks that really like F#. There's some folks that really like C#. There are also folks that like VB. Some that like Java. Other folks like JavaScript. It's up to you, but I want to at least show you the options. It's functional programming, right? It's a completely different syntax. Well, yes. So, I already failed. It's not a defect, obviously. Let me start over. All right. Well, we'll stay tuned for that. Hey, man. Well, there you go. Well done. Don't use spaces, use underscores, because the space bar is a defect. Alright. Syntax isn't the important thing, it's the semantics that are better. Not only in F#, but in many expression-based languages. Yeah. So. Alright, I was starting to bring this down and getting my database lined up here. My data interactions here. So let's call this metric, because this is the metrics that we're going to be storing. So I'm going to need to bring in Entity Framework Core, which means I need to bring in a package reference, right? Include equals Microsoft Entity Framework Core. Version equals rats. Okay. The music is somehow ominous. No, it's not ominous. It's groovy. Yeah. Tell you what, we'll switch up the music. How does this sound? I'm thinking. Oh, maybe. Anonymous. No. Good to see you, Brave Cobra. It's all on the CLR. In the end, runs wherever C# does. Yes, absolutely. All right, we'll play this one instead. Get my Lucio on. Yeah. I need to put that in an item group. I can't just have it hanging out there. All right. Coding like this is not fun, I'm telling you. I don't know. Maybe it isn't a defect then. Oh, man. Alright. Version equals. And I don't get a autocomplete on that, do I? Gotta copy paste spaces from elsewhere. Even then. Oh, whatever. I still get to use the whole .NET ecosystem. If the ecosystem didn't matter, I'd be using OCaml or Haskell. That's a great way to describe it. That's pretty cool way to describe it right there. Well, I'm still learning F#, so it's not going to be faster for me to deliver right now. There are other folks that are much more practiced in F# that'll be able to deliver faster than I. Is that QArtic? Thank you for the follow. Could you imagine? Hey, you put spaces in there. I'm familiar with C# and TypeScript. I personally don't have needs for F# yet. No, I don't have needs for F#. I don't think there's a scenario where I would say I need F# instead of C#, or I need VB instead of C#. It's a question of I'd prefer to use, because these all work in all the different spaces that the .NET framework is available. Here, well, how about this one? Is this one better? I'd rather learn Rust. Ooh. I don't know. I'm going to use the install command here. Oh, thank you for the follow, spacebar. And you didn't have to hit the spacebar to do that. There's just a heart button there at the top of the Twitch screen. No, we're not going to play that anymore. All right. I'll change music so it isn't as ominous, all right? This is blue. This is a little bit groovier, all right? So I should be able to say, right, is it .NET, is it .NET add? Is that the command I'm thinking of? Yeah, .NET add, package, F# data. I should get it and add it. Nice. Cool. Introduction, why use F# series? F# for fun and profit. Oh, Aaron and Cincy, thank you for using your Prime subscription here. Of course, I'll match that. We'll make a donation to Girl Develop It. And of course, right, that Twitch Prime subscription. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, Twitch likes me to say this at least once a stream. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can convert that to a Twitch Prime subscription free. Just link your account, your Twitch account, to your Amazon account, and Twitch will remove all of the embedded advertisements before and after videos here on Twitch. And if you use they'll give you one channel subscription. They'll give you all kinds of free drops and some of your favorite games. I got a bunch of Heroes of the Storm loot chests for free. 5 loot chests for free just for using my Amazon Prime subscription that I was already using to have toilet paper delivered for free every month to my house. But I got a free subscription. I got my loot chest for free in Heroes of the Storm. I got packs of cards in Hearthstone free. And I can subscribe to one channel at no additional charge. And you'll get the emotes. You'll get all the benefits of that first level subscription. So here on my stream, if you use your Twitch Prime subscription, I'll match it. We'll make a cool donation to some folks who could use our help, like Girl Develop It. And you get to use a cool emote everywhere that you go here on Twitch. They say Go is better performance than C#. They can say that all they'd like. I'll go back to that Tech Empower benchmark. Go is 7.026, 6.97. You're literally splitting hairs. So. Oh, is the bot censoring you out there? Here, I will allow that one. There we go. Right, and if I go look at the data one, right, Go is in here at 329 and 292. But who's, right, can you get commercial support for Go? And that's important to some organizations, is getting commercial support. So, but there's nothing wrong with Go. It's just a question of where and how folks are going to support it. So, and that's something that folks really rely on .NET and Java for, is there's big organizations that'll get you support. No problem here. I'm just pointing out the pluses and minuses. Lots of folks I know have gone the Go route, even for web apps. Great. Adblock removes the ads too. What? Am I missing something from Hannes? I believe most of the world's money still flows through COBOL. True. And it has .NET bindings. I was in a meeting last week where they were talking about folks using COBOL with .NET. Yes. And it was scary. Oh my gosh. Spacebar, thank you for using your Prime subscription here with me. It's dangerous to code alone. Thank you. Thank you very much. And like I said, right, you have the C# bot you can use. And there are other levels of subscriptions that they've made available here on Twitch, and I've put other emotes out there. But thank you so much for that. So, no, I don't take offense at whatever programming language people use. If you're being productive, if you're using a language that's helping you get something done, fantastic. More power to you. I want you to know that there's tools out there, like Visual Studio Code, that run great to allow you to program with Go or COBOL or F# or C# or JavaScript or TypeScript, even Dart. And you get to take advantage of the great ecosystem that's out here, full of all kinds of neat features. And don't forget, there's Visual Studio Live Share that you can use with Visual Studio Code. It doesn't connect to a Microsoft server, and it works with all of those programming languages. You can use it with folks that are sitting just across the aisle from you, working on JavaScript together, working on Go together. It's up to you. So check it out, and it works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. All of those features in LiveShare are available also. So check it out. That bot is pretty great. It is. I think it is. Am I on DevRant? I'm not familiar with DevRant. What's DevRant? I'm trying to write some code. But tell me what DevRant is, and I'm going to keep writing some code here while you're going along there. Andre, is it Andre Uha? Sorry for the question. You never have to apologize for asking a question here. I'm always happy to answer. Do you know if .NET Core 2 with Razor Pages, there's a way to still use HTTP modules? Any pointers to the request lifecycle of Razor Pages? So what Andre's asking there is in reference to the HTTP modules objects that we had in the system web environment, right? That was what ASP.NET was built on from version 1 back in 2001 through version 4.7.2 that's available now. If you deploy, Andre, if you deploy your application, your ASP.NET Core application, to a Windows IIS machine, you can deploy on top of .NET Framework, which means that that ASP.NET Core will run inside of an IIS module, right? It runs inside of an HTTP module on top of IIS, and you can't access the HTTP modules that are next to it. It's two different things. So you won't be able to do that level of intercepts. But the request lifecycle of Razor Pages, that's just it, right? They've tried to minimize and eliminate the concept of page lifecycle that you used to have to manage with things like web forms. The lifecycle is exactly the same as an MVC controller, right? You have an on action. It's like on action start. You have the on get fire, and then you'll have the on action complete. I forget the name of the wrapper. 2 events, but there's literally the page is created. This on action start filter starts. The on get, on post, whatever that method is for your HTTP verb fires, and then you'll have, like I said, I forget what the name of the wrapper events are. Something like begin request, yes, and you can intercept those using filters. You can create a global filter that runs on that action. ASP.NET Core global filters. Here we go. So you have the action selection, routing middleware. These pieces of middleware you don't want to deal with, but you can put pieces of middleware in there and actually interact with it. Here they are. These are the two methods: on action executing and on action executed. So this happens before the action, this happens after the action. And if you look, it'll show you here the entire pipeline, right? So whatever middleware you have configured, and then the routing, once it decides which action to select here, then it'll do that on action executing and then on action executed, right? And that this is after working with the result that's being returned. But check this out. This is action filters if you look at MVC controllers. These apply to Razor pages. Yes, they do. Razor pages they were originally called controllerless views. And that's really what they are. It's the exact same thing, but there is no controller. Okay? So never have to ask for permission to ask a question. Always here to answer. But it should apply. Hey, aspiring DevOps guru. The programming languages are like a religion. Nobody can agree which one is the best. True. And no problem. DevRant is a website where devs rant. All right, now you're making me want to look up DevRant. DevRant, a fun community of developers. Devs sharing their stories, read developer misadventures. Don't only talk to your duck. Build your own dev avatar. Join the conversation. 50,000 developers. Wow. But it's just people out here ranting, complaining. Oh, DHH is on this, huh? Oh, no, he was on a podcast. Okay. Community projects. Neat. I'll have to take a look sometime. I'll leave that open so I can come back to it. All right. Let's get back into this. So stream views, and then this was the table structure I wanted to have. So I still need some sort of an ID column. And I think we can leave that as an int. And it's not stream views. Let's call this... what? I should have done the restore, right? Did we get the .NET restore? Yeah. Was restored using .NET Framework 4.6.1 instead of Project Target Framework Net Standard version 2. Okay, fine. Let's .NET restore, make sure I have it. I sadly couldn't sign up with my username too long. Oh, on DevRant. Well, there's a rant for you then. Okay. Restore completed. So do I have... It looks like it doesn't have Entity Framework Core. Even though I brought that in. Here. Right? Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. Alright. Let's make this a metric. I'm not sure why I'm not getting those popping in. We need a commit ID. So let's call commit ID. And that was a hash, which is a really long string. The repository. So we'll make that a string. Next was the date stamp. Let's just call it date stamp then. Date time. Cool. How long have I been coding for? Long enough. I want the 3.0 pre-releases of F# data. Oh, okay. Give me 1 second here and we'll... right, I should be able to say F# data Come on now. I've been coding for more than 20 years. F# data, we want 300 beta 3. All right, so we'll change that up. Beta 3, right? Just like that? Yep. .NET restore. Cool. All right. Thanks for picking up on that, Chusk. All right, so I have my date stamp. Next field I need is the name, and that's not an int. That's going to be a string. Number of files changed. Sure, that's an int. All right. Let's call this GitHub data, and it's a DB context. All right. Ugh. Val mutable stream views. DB set stream. This should be DB set of metric, and this is going to be metrics, right? It was all lowercase for some reason. All right, so member double underscore stream views. And do I have that right? Did you add the EF core reference to the projects? I know it suggests that it isn't, but I looked at my project and it's right there. And it says it's installed, but that sure looks like it isn't. There we go. No wonder I have no freaking clue what you're talking about with my 2 years of experience. No, please ask any question. I'm more than happy to answer and get you pointed in a good direction here. But you're right, Chusk. It's for some reason telling me that it's not here. That's weird. That's weird right there. That doesn't make sense to me. Right in the data annotations, it's telling me is unused also. That's weird. Let me go back over to this. Microsoft Entity Framework Core SQLite. Oh, you know what? I didn't. Nah, you know what? I think I'm going to bring in SQL. If I just request the top level one, it should bring in the rest. But I'm going to put this in a SQL database. So I think. So Microsoft Entity Framework Core, yeah, .SQL Server. Let's grab that one. Yeah. Okay, now let's see what's over here. Still doesn't like it. I know my way around in game engines, but not F#. You know what? I haven't spent time too much time in game engines. We did a little bit of Unity development one day with my friend Amanda. I'd love to get some more time in there. It's not a year thingy. Yeah, F# is just obscure by definition. No. I'm not sure why that's not loading at all. All right. Let's let's include that push JSON file, just like I did here. Oh, it's already there. No, it's not going to be compiled. Don't compile that. And we're going to include push.json. Yeah, we started. I really want to build a pinball machine in Unity, but I've got some other priorities I need to focus on. All right, so I have that, and then for this little project, wrong one. I referenced that type using the C# provider, the CSV provider, I'm sorry. So I need that to load that data. And I actually do it over here really nicely. So let's do that. Here. No, I don't want a module around this. Okay. So my push sample. Oh, fine. I do need that module, I guess, huh? Okay. So JSON provider, I should be able to control, and it's not finding that. Good thing I'm starting a new game project using the Unreal Engine and wanted to stream that. Feel free to stop by. Absolutely. I need to get used to seeing it, Brave Cobra, is what I'm running into. I haven't looked at it enough to really be able to say, oh yeah, that's what that's doing. And I'm literally copying and pasting to get around here and learn a little bit. Now, why is it only may occur? No, I gotta move these down inside. Now, I don't have Newtonsoft JSON. Do I need it, though, to navigate around in here? France took a 2-0 lead. Oh my gosh. I guess I need to bring Newtonsoft JSON in. All right. .NET add package Newtonsoft JSON. And that should go away. But no, it didn't. The goalie half saved the shot, but it went in. Oh, that's terrible. Such a terrible feeling. All right, push webhook, JSON provider, push sample. Why am I getting a line there? This is not a valid constant expressions or custom attribute. Ugh. But that, okay, so that works over here. Why isn't it working here? And we still don't have Newtonsoft JSON. And Ionide's reading. Nope, doesn't like it. F# tooling in VS Code seems a little weird behaving. So the Ionide project that I'm using, the F# folks really swear by. Christoph has done a great job building this out. Oh, listen to you, Brave Cobra. Already looking past Brazil. Oh, the Belgians. No, 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 no. Don't look past Brazil. Because you know Neymar's gonna flop on the ground. And I think, isn't Aspiring DevOps Guru, aren't you from Brazil? All right, so I'm receiving the webhook, and I need to now parse out all those data points. And we started parsing it. Could you try to open a project just for a test? Yeah, I think we're gonna need to try that. Use full Visual Studio here. I wanted to do as much in code with Ionide as possible. Okay. So that folder is GitHub processor data. cdev GitHub processor data. And there we go. Everything restored. Now, where did my data file go? In Ohio, a link to the benchmarking website. There you go. Speaking of Neymar, I saw a post yesterday of someone tracking how long he's been laying around in the World Cup, and it's a total of 14 minutes. Yeah. No, who was it? Was it Evandro is in Brazil? Yeah, okay. But that other file that I had here in the project isn't here. For the metric. Files and libraries and multiple file applications must begin with a namespace or module declaration. La-di-da. Let's give it the same namespace. Okay. All right. So this one is still upset. That's not a constant expression or custom attribute value. Trying to use So if I delete this and knock it down to just push JSON. No. No. Okay, that works. Use literal attribute to make it a compile time constant. Right, just like I did over here. Oh, I gotta put the angle brackets inside as well. Like that. And then I can turn this back into... Alright, that's working. The top Tech Empower plaintext results are currently bandwidth limited. Yes. It'll be interesting to see where .NET Core lands when they get that fixed. Yep, their framework is constrained at this point. Okay, so I have the provider. Why is this upset? Tabs are not allowed unless the indent off. Are you kidding? You're really kidding? I mean, come on. I've never seen that before. If you use indent off, then you lose all the simpler white space aware syntax and have to go back to using... Yeah, I use tabs instead of spaces. I am a tab person. Yeah. Oh, and it won't even let me build an editor config file. Whoa. You're already... Now you're gonna get me angry. Now, I thought I had... I don't have it installed. Sure. Yep. Not a fan of languages that are that dogmatic about tabs and spaces. That doesn't make me happy. And there we go. All right. Where is it? Isn't it like tab style? Spacing style or something? What's it called? Indent style, there it is. And Visual Studio does that for me. Is it a tab versus spaces issue? Yes. White spaces are part of the syntax. Yes. In C# you have the glob on the compiler. Oh, it wasn't in the right order? Let's take a look here. Yeah, I guess so. Uninstall F#. No. Alright, so now I have my mock data here. Let's take this and I'm going to put it over on the side so I can reference it. Now for my data here, right, that should be indented, shouldn't it? Right? Do I have that right? Let me go back. Make sure I understand this correctly. Yeah, that was all indented. This should be over. Okay. All right. So I still need to pass into this at some point my database connection string. And we'll figure that out in a bit. But so we're going to create a function here to start reading the data that's being passed in and write it to the database. And the way that I did that before right, so I had an entry point. I don't have an entry point now. Right, so let's call this load GitHub data. And we're going to be receiving, right, this is the push data. Both init and VS Code and VS will let you change the order of referenced files in the GUI. Really? Doesn't look like it, but all right. Okay, so push data is coming in. Indenting makes it compile. The more you discover, the more I'm disliking. And that's your opinion. I wonder if there's a correlation between people who like F# and people who prefer spaces over tab. I think you're onto something there, DevOps Guru. Why would the order matter? Chusk was saying it doesn't glob like C# and just figure out where everything is. It's actually processing top to bottom when it looks at that project file. Okay. So I need a database connection context options builder so that I can configure my connection to not SQLite, right? But instead we're going to go, I should be able to say use SQL Server. There it is. With some connection string that's being passed in. We'll figure out what that is later. Helps remove an entire class of object constructor initialization errors. Yeah. Okay. So I don't need to open this. Instead, I need to open it like this. Now, why is it saying that it's cannot be the final code element in a block? Yeah, I know. I'm working on it here, kid. All right, repository. We already know how to get that. The date stamp. Datetime dot. I want to do that in UTC, so it needs to be UTC now. Okay, so I have the date stamp and I have the repository. That's these two. The name. Well, let me get the PR commit ID. Reference this blog post for more details on how this is a good thing about dependency. Yeah. All right. So I know that the PR commit is at the /after. So I should be able to start reading. Right? I should be able to start navigating down webhook dot after and get the PR commit ID. Right? I think so. Let commit ID equal. All right, so I should be able to say webhook dot, and if it's after, right, I should be able to get that. Although I must thank you for trying F# out, saves me the trouble of doing so. Yeah, and that's what we're trying to learn, right? It's all about learning. If I wanted to be really productive about this, and I wanted to get this done now, I'd write this in C# and I'd have it done in 3 hours. But we're trying something new. You have to get uncomfortable in order to learn something. And I'm really uncomfortable. But we're moving. We're moving in the right direction here. So I've got the commit ID. I have... Okay, the repository we already have. Good. Now we need to get the name for each person and the number of files changed for each commit. Okay, so here's where we're going to start a for loop to look at the commits records here. I'm not sure this is the best example. For some of the things I used it for, it reads better than C#. Okay. I mean, I'm going to be doing some sequence processing here to get the data out and calculate and put it into my object. I think we'll be in good shape. Yeah. Okay. Let me go back to my other code that I was using. So I did this for row in rows do. Okay. So for, let's say, commit in webhook. Now I need to navigate down to the commits, which is it just off the root commits? Yeah, it is. Okay. Coworker just looked over at my monitor running the Twitch stream and asked, is that some sort of Clippy for Visual Studio? Yes, that's me. Hi, I'm Jeff. I'm the new Clippy. We've renamed Clippy. He's now got a goatee, a surly attitude, and you call him Fritzy. There you go, Discordia's got it. That's right, I just hang out in the bottom of your Visual Studio. That's right. Okay. Alright, so I'm doing that for loop, and then I'm going to grab... I already have the date, and then I can create a new record here. It looks like you're trying to get lost in Azure settings panel. Yes, I am. Alright. So next, I'm on the commit record. I want to grab the author. And I don't want to grab the name. I want to grab the username. Let author equal commit dot... Right, it did capitalize it when I was in Azure, right? Yeah, it did. Commit dot author dot username. Yeah. Okay. So I have the author, and now I want to total the number of added, removed, and modified. I'd love to see an example of that. Of all the code I've seen so far, there was never one line that I could explain without Googling. So let's call this line count equal commit dot added. Now, can I just do a dot length on that? Ooh. Commit dot removed dot length. Commit dot modified dot length. Now, why am I getting an underline on those? The value namespace type or module commit. It's not. It's right there. Right? Oh, you know what? I didn't put a do on the end of this. So it's not... There we go. Right, and then I've got to... We stop the indent. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, okay. Alright, so that's the line count. So now I can create a record and put it in the database that has these values. And I don't really even need to allocate these two. I can probably simplify that a little bit. The thing we all should remember is that we had the same reaction the first time we did any programming at all. Yes. Languages shouldn't be trivially switchable because they're not actually learning any new ways to approach a problem. Most developers only know C family languages. At this time, I can agree with that. I understand the first 5 lines. After that, it's all gibberish. All right. So yeah, let new record. I like that idea. New record equal, and then it was data.streamViews. Now I'm calling it metric. So, right, I want to say right, is that how I do it? Like, yeah. And then I'm defining a record type here. So I should be able to start, right? I don't want to say, okay, well, there's ID. Right, my fields. Let's move this over here so I can see it side by side. So I'm not specifying an ID. We're going to let that be generated. But commit ID, hey, look, there's that, is commit ID. And then next up is repository. You know what? Yeah. Repository equals repository. Date stamp equals date stamp. I'm doing this left-right monkey code here. Name equals, and then this is going to be author. And you know what? I'm just going to, so that I'm not reallocating that value several times, I'm just going to drop that in there. And last is num files changed. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut that, drop that in there. All right. Okay. Now, why doesn't it like this? Possible incorrect indentation. This token is offside of standard context starting at position. I think I'm okay there, aren't I? Oh, it's semis after. That's what I'm doing wrong. Better. All right, and then I want to add it to the DB context, but I need to make sure. Hang on, I did DB options and allocated it. Oh, I need to. Sure, let's do that. Equals, it's not data viewer data, it's going to be GitHub data. That works. Semicolons can be omitted on new lines for records. Really? I can do this? I mean, I had commas there. Cool, okay. Thanks for that, 7sharp9. Okay, so now I have my database context, so I should be able to say db context metrics add new record. Now, why am I... Oh. It still doesn't quite like me. No idea what time it is at your place, but I'm gonna head out and see you later. All right, catch you later, spacebar. It is 11:50 East Coast time. That doesn't make sense. Still doesn't like me. The block following this let is unfinished. Every code block is an expression, must have a result. No. Is it because it needed to be there? Nope, doesn't like that either. Still doesn't like it. I have some tag helpers I wrote in C#, VB, and F#, and some of those just looked better in F#. Oh, okay. I am confused. Let new record metric equals Yeah, it's not. That's not clear to me why it's. Oh, and I'm not running asynchronous. Still, all right. Now I'm getting. Okay. This needs to be push data, but that's a string that's being passed in, so I don't need to do that. So I can actually get rid of that altogether and change this to, but I'm still running into here. Nope, doesn't like that either. Well, actually, Chusk, I'm going to need to be running this asynchronously because at some point here, when I do the save, I want that to run asynchronously. I agree, and I can write more than 10 programming languages, and not all of them are from the C family. I switch languages all the time, but I still stick to my original opinion on this. Everybody's entitled to his or her opinion. If you like F#, yeah, more power to you. Okay. This isn't clear to me why this isn't working at all. You know? And even then, when I get this, hang on, let me back up a second. When I get this compiled and running, this little library, I'm going to push it up and deploy it to my Azure function. And then I need to include it and run it at that point. And that's... that means I'm going to need to deploy to NuGet to get the reference. See, I'm trying to think through and understand this a little bit better. And I feel like I've literally got three files here. I feel like I should move these files into Azure directly. And be working there. And not in Visual Studio Code. And I also feel like I'm fumbling around here, and it's not going well. This doesn't help me. No assignment given for field ID. Yeah, I know. I mean, do I have to do that? Okay. Alright, so I have that. Or upload the DLL, and that just feels bad. You know? You need to assign a default value. Record fields aren't optional. EF should overwrite it on insert. Okay. So there I'm doing that add, and then I need to save my changes. Which is going to be back one. All right, that looks pretty easy. But really, I have a lot of this already over in Azure. I don't think, I mean, literally, I've got 2 files. So why don't we just do this in Azure and don't have this extra stuff going on, right? So let's go back over here. Let's add a new file. And let's call this data FSX. Right? Let's just call this namespace. Do I even need the namespace? I don't think I had it. No, I don't have a namespace over here. Twitch needs a thumbs up emoji. I thought there was one. You got me curious. No, they don't have one. The best you can do is seems good. That guy. I don't think I need a namespace here. Right? And if I go back over to this, would run from zip make your deployment easier? Maybe not today, but something to look at in the future. I didn't know you could do that. Zip push deployment for Azure Functions. Oh, that's just that's a deployment. So let me update this now with okay, so we're in an async block. Okay, so there's my data loaded. So after I still need to figure out this. Right, so that I get the database set up. Okay. And then here it's loading the data, and I've got webhook. So the rest of this should just be the same, right? So now I should actually be able to change this to save changes async. And I want to await that, and I don't have an await keyword here in F#. I'm going to get a warning on that, aren't I? Hey, there we go. Where'd you get that one, Joe Bun? Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, that's a Windows one. So I want to save changes async, and I want to... Right, I think I need to pipe it through async await task and then do the printfn. Am I right, Chusk? Like that. Yeah, alright, I'm figuring this out. Okay. It does look very C-sharpish. C-sharpish? Yeah. And I didn't think there was really pattern matching that I could do in this. Could someone add real editor features to Functions Editor? Hey, Christoph. I'm thinking that would be a fine idea. All right. So now I need to figure out how to get the connection string in. How do I get the connection string? Function keys. Host keys. No, that's not what I want. Integrate. Trigger, mode, template, inputs. No. But I am outputting. Right, so here I can output actually to something else. External table. I can output directly to Cosmos DB, which is really expensive. But you didn't hear that from me. There's a library you can grab that gives you a task, like the async that you have right now, so you don't have to explicitly do the await task. In about 500 Fridays, I'm going to be an F# expert. Absolutely. That's the goal. Fair. Yeah, I could add an item to a queue, pop items off the queue, and insert into the database, but I still don't have a way to insert directly into the database from here. You know, I want to be able to... it's not a trigger. And it's not an input. I want to be able to pass that connection string in without hard coding it. I feel like I'm going to have to hard code it. Where can I clone this code from? I've started writing it here in my C# Fritz F# learning. App settings, maybe. What did... You're fine there. There you go. Where was I? Yeah, so if it... Alright. So I can put it in app settings, application settings. I'm going to back out here while I take a look. Scroll down here. So there's application settings, connection strings. Should only be used with a function app if you're using entity framework. Let me come back to this. For other scenarios, use app settings. Click here to learn more. Yes, I want to add a new connection string. I'm going to be going to a SQL Azure. Yeah. So that's where I'm going to punch in my database connection. And then I need to fetch that in the F# at somewhere near the beginning so that it knows here's how to connect, and I should be able, right, yeah, I should be able to do that easy. So let's, oh, damn it. It didn't I wanted it to just open another database tab, another Azure tab. You expect F# to still exist by then? Absolutely. Yes. All right, so I need a little SQL server. Just a little one. Not that big. Hello, SQL database. Create a new server. Fritz stream. Server admin login. Fritz. Password. We need a good password. Need a really good password. I think that's a good password. We're going to put it in the East because we like the East. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, you figured it out. We'll call this Fritz stream. Sure, that's fine. I thought I had a Fritz stream. I do not. This one. All right, blank database, configure required settings. I thought we just did this. I did. Well, I oughta. All right, SQL Server admin. Password. 1, 2, 3, 4. East US 2. There we go. Want to use a SQL Elastic pool. No. I don't need a standard. You're confusing me. I don't need that much space. Let's start with 2 gig. Start there. All right. Yep, that's fine. Pin to my dashboard, go. And bad idea. Now, while that's building, where did it go? GitHub processing. Stop it! Pin that chalupa. This is not complicated at all. Clear as mud. I know. Lots going on here, right? That should have pinned. There it is. Now I've got 2 of them. So the database will create, I'll grab the database connection ID. Now how do I grab the connection strings from F#? Configuration, connection strings. Thank you for the follow, Andy. Andy Zipro? Alright, cool. No. App settings type provider. Use connection string from app config. With F# data SQL client. Yeah. Using F#.configuration. Oh, dear Lord. Am I in Core or am I in .NET Framework? Alright, so there's my database. So I should... Where'd it go? I'm looking for the connection strings. Here. Okay. So I'm going to copy that. Dear Lord. All right, and I'm going to go into my, what's function app settings? Host keys, slots, host.json, application settings. Yeah, here we go. All right, let me back out here. That's not what I want. And let me key in the connection string. And we will call this FritzStreamDB. And my username. And my password. Okay. Should be a save button here somewhere. There it is. Don't worry about type providers here for your app config. Just do what you would do for a normal C# Azure function. Okay. And here. Come on, data. Where's my code? Come on. There we go. All right, so my connection string, if I was doing this, it'd be configuration manager, connection strings, like that. And I would need to open system.configuration. I don't even know if it's going to do that properly. Oh, now we're getting it. Is that supposed to be a capital S? Cap. Hello. You're kidding me here, right? Now you're gonna respond, you. I'm fine. Why won't that close? Nuke it. Stop saying. Use an indexer in F#, you need the dot. Yeah. Alright, let's go back into this again. Maybe this time it'll actually open for me. Nope. Oh, now it will. Alright. Strings. Alright. Now am I getting any warnings from the parser? Alright. Finally. Oh boy. The type metric is not defined here. Now, is that because I don't have a namespace? The namespace data annotations. Okay, so I haven't included those in my project file yet. Right, I started including. All right, Microsoft Entity Framework Core, SQL Server. I don't think I need data annotations. Do I need data annotations? I don't think so. For FSX scripts, you'll need to include them at the top of your run FX by doing a load. Ah. Okay. FSX, like that. Okay. This looks like it didn't load that. Microsoft Entity Framework Core, and I don't think I need that. Projects include files based on the project file. Scripts are more explicit. Ah. Right, that should be coming off of Entity Framework Core, which it's saying is not defined, which tells me it didn't restore the project JSON yet. Right, all of these things are in Entity Framework Core. So is that, I believe. Let's try and run just to force it to do a restore. Don't forget the hash R. Oh, thank you. And I'm also going to need to include system configuration, right? Do I need to do that over in data as well? Yeah, it's not picking up Entity Framework Core. No, we're not using that. So I've referenced, oh, you know what? It's net 4.6. That worries me. It's not that one. Yeah, it doesn't like. Why is it there? I mean, half this other stuff isn't working. I don't know, WorldWake. Yeah, this is confusing. Why isn't it... Right, why do I have to... Reload? I don't think so. But it feels like it's not loading the reference there. I mean... Reloading. Failed. The namespace entity framework core is not defined. Format Azure, start over. There you go. That's the ticket. Right, the hash R is saying require this so that we can work later. I didn't need to do that with F# data though. F# data just worked. To get the JSON provider in. And I'm looking for a help button here and I don't see one. What is this? I have no idea what this thing is. What is this? What's the error with open system? It sees it's not even on the right line, saying that entity framework core is not defined. It's off by 2 lines. Look at this, and it's got an error on... It's not even... the errors are on comments. I've still got to build the database table to connect to. So I'm looking at my logs here. Let's see what comes out of this. Okay, now I've got lines on the correct one. Namespace entity framework core is not defined. But it's clearly here. Try commenting out the load. I think that's a bad idea. Nope. Still doesn't find the namespace. Oh, you know what? I'm not running into that over in data. It's only in run. Right over here, it's running just fine. Let me include that. I mean, this file is running fine. All the errors are in run. Both of those are in there. Hey, Parathon. Nope, doesn't like it either. And because it can't see Entity Framework Core, this doesn't work. And, right, let me reload data. Yeah, now I'm getting the same errors on data because it wasn't loading it. Isn't even getting evaluated because the load, well, now it is. Yeah. But it's not, it's refusing. It's refusing to load Entity Framework Core. Does EF Core work on Net 4.6? Yep. Because it's a net standard 2. So why isn't it finding it? Okay, we can back down to just regular entity framework. I'm not opposed to that. Oh, come on. Let's take a 1 hour break and continue later. Entity Framework 6.2. Right, if I want to go back to this way, 6.2.0 and isn't it Entity Framework SQL Server? Or does that come with it? I can't remember. Yeah, I've seen fooget.org. Frank's done a nice job with that. Okay. So if I'm using that, there we go. Project JSON. Grabbed Entity Framework 6.2, nupkeg, installing Entity Framework. So now over here, if I remember Entity Framework 6.2 properly, come on, I'm looking for, there we go, docs. Oh, are you kidding? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it should look the same. But instead of bringing in all of that, I should be able to just say, right, Entity Framework. Yeah, I changed it and it's not parsing it yet. Nope. Found a comment that only a certain version of EF Core is deployed to Azure. Oh, great. And the text editor is not opening again. Refresh. I feel like we've got the code, and we just need to finish this little bit of formatting to get this to work. Come on. No. Didn't we have that experience with Azure Functions last time? Did you get feedback on your question? Nope, no feedback. And we did have this exact same problem. Okay. Lots, and now, okay, I removed Entity Framework Core. Oh, it's over in data. All right, let's replace that one. Okay. Now it's telling me Entity Framework is not defined. Okay. Is anyone here interested in learning hacking? I'm talking about creating video game hacks and bypassing anti-cheats. Well, that doesn't sound very ethical. If you're interested, feel free to join me, PM me here on Twitch. Bypassing anti-hack, anti-cheat sounds like a one-way ticket to getting banned. Be careful. Be careful. Don't want to anger game studios because they'll wield that ban hammer quickly. I feel like I'm spinning my wheels on this. Entity framework. Azure Functions. I mean, this is literally going. I mean, I literally feel like I'm somewhere that nobody's ever coded before. Entity framework .dll. I need to specify .dll on these? I didn't with those. I mean, okay. And then Entity Framework SQL Server DLL. He doesn't even require it here. Holy crap. And then he has using for system data entity, which I want to turn into open statements. Let's see if that goes. The DLL is made on the fly when compiling? No, it's a NuGet reference. Okay, hang on. We might be onto something here. Let's see if it picked that up. Yeah. Okay. Key is not defined. Right, key is in system data annotations. Right? System component model data annotations. Okay, the type DB connection is required here and is unavailable. You must add a reference to assembly system.data. We're getting somewhere. All right. I keep clicking clear and it isn't clearing. Okay, a unique overload for method DB context could not be determined based on type information. Okay. We're getting there. So name or connection string. Right. So I need to specify a type annotation. Okay. All right, let's call it This feels like a scene from the movie Over the Top. Over the Top? Dude, that's a Stallone movie from way back. You know what? Okay, so if it's the name, I don't have to pass in the full connection string. I can just pass in, right, the name of my connection string. I can just pass in that when I create it. I don't need a connection context options builder. Right? Right, I'm trying to remember how we created a database context. Right, we just said new database context back in EF6. The namespace or module DB options. Right, we don't have DB options. That's on line 29. This doesn't exist. But don't I have to tell it to use SQL Server? Nope. You figured out the DLL thing that was necessary, so why can't we go back to trying EF core? I've almost got it, though, with Entity Framework. Right, I should be able to just say new whatever that thing and give it the name of the connection string, right? Let DB context new GitHub data, and then I should be able to just give it Fritz stream DB. All right, let's watch it. The type GitHub data is not defined, but I did load data FSX. It's right there. The type metric is not defined. They're both right here, and I had that load statement at the top of run. So that doesn't look like it. Should this be a classroom example? Read data from somewhere, write it to a database. I did. But I did it in F#. I didn't do it in FSX. So I'm running into this chasing my references. Can you recommend to me any books that I can read to understand LINQ, asynchronous programming, and Lambda expressions? There's a new book out on C#7 from my friend Phil Japixi. There you go. Pro C#7, .NET and .NET Core. Check this out. That'll get you up to speed pretty quick with those. So we have this link from SMAB. So I don't have a using statement, but I'm doing a new context. Yeah, I'm okay on that. I need to do it in F#. Soon there's a book about C#8. Well, C#8 needs to be finished first before there can be a book about it. I just want to get this one piece wired up, and then we can call it a day here. No. FSX entity framework. No, no, no. No. What is this? Let me go back and look at that again. Holy crow. Net 451 entity framework core. This is old stuff. Oh dear Lord. Type AdventureWorks equals SQL Server plural site pluralize true. For X in this, do that. Oh, that link is horrible to read. Horrible. No. You can use code from other FSX files by including a load directive. Right, I'm doing that. Load data FSX. There it is. It should be loading it, but it doesn't see these types at all. Right, I mean, it's right there. So why is it telling me it's undefined? What do you think? Hello, Will Bennett. Try not loading it and putting everything together in one file. You split them later. Why not just put everything in one file? I mean, it's one file, who cares? You know? I mean, right? I mean, there's my run method. Just put them down here, who cares? It's still saying it's undefined even though it's right here. The type DB connection is required here and is unavailable. You must add a reference to system data. Okay, so I had that in the other one. Let's reload that. You think the order is mattering here? Top down, left to right. Gotta go above the method where they're used. Okay. Punch that in there. Save. Let's see. Type GitHub data is undefined. No, it didn't. Reload. At this point, since the lines are wonky, I'd reload. Yeah. Right? The editor just stops behaving. And there is no reload editor button. And I'm going to click into this and it's not going to open the first time that I click on it. Oh, or maybe I'm completely wrong. Not Control D. Yeah. Okay. We're getting a little bit closer. The type key is not defined. Well, I didn't bring in data annotations. So let's bring that back. Closer. The type async int, the value or constructor author is not defined. Let's go to that one, line 76. Okay, this doesn't exist, right? So let's just get rid of that. That's a message. The type async int is not compatible with the type. Okay, so that's this bit here. Continuing a bit in the bit execution pattern discussion. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to make another shout out to Germany today. Sorry. So that should be awaiting this. Right? And then so to await the async, do a let. Do the bang, let bang. And then on the next line, no, you've been asking me to do this every day, dude. Async await task turns a task into an async T, but we still need to await the result. So that looks like, right? Do I have that right? Changed reloading. Come on. Do it. The let is effectively await. Same with do if you see it. Oh, okay. Oh, now I've broken it. I think I did break it. Because it's not coming back right away. Reload again. What we building? Hey, talk to me, Gooseman. So we're learning a little bit of F#, and we're processing some data coming off of GitHub to create. You see this, the ticker up at the top? That is everybody that's contributed to a project here on stream. I'm going to delete that code so we can force the refresh. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a webhook that will automatically log these metrics into the database for us. Shouldn't it come back and say build successful? I mean, you'd think, right? But we're learning F#. This is part of my F# Fridays effort here to spend time learning a programming language that I'm not typically comfortable with. Let me double check my calendar here, make sure that we're okay. Come here. Yeah, I've got a meeting coming up. And it's not clear what it's doing. If I try to run this now, because I haven't built the database table yet, it's going to error out and it's going to be ugly. But I should be able to run this and see it get to that point. But I want to make sure I get the compile running first. Come on. Okay, there's my log handling a webhook. I don't like that the whole thing's grayed out here and I can't watch the log. This is my first time, saw all the previous videos on YouTube. Oh, well, welcome, Will. Unable to find assembly. Well, that's kind of scary. Not sure what's happening there. Try that again, Mr. Azure. Function completed. But it... Okay. Did it write data into the database? Is that the extension you also were thinking about making on Twitch? No. Different. I'll talk to you about that separately. You like Germany. Guten Nachmittag, Deutschland. It's getting closer. You're at least compiling now. Yes. Have I tried the Azure Functions core tools? No. I call that a win. Is it putting it in the database? Did it actually put something out there? Let me go back to this. How am I liking the language? You can confuse it for JavaScript at first glance. No. F# does not look like JavaScript. Oh, no. Alright, so here's... Well, it looks like it's been doing something in my database. 4 meg in the database. Really? What did it put in the database? Isn't there a way for me to browse it from here? I thought there was a way to browse it. I guess not. Let me set the server firewall. Add my client IP. Yep. Thank you. All right. So now I should be able to access this from home by going to that location. So if I go, I should be able to use, there's a Cloud Explorer here that we can open up. Storage you can, but not SQL. At least I haven't seen that. Bummer. So I'm going to open the Cloud Explorer now. It should allow me to connect all the way through. Right, Fritz stream. I should be able to find it. I started learning F# recently too. In the first video, you visited F# for fun and profit. I think you should go through the tutorial there. I started going there, and the folks that we had here on stream, who are F# MVPs, said it wasn't a good idea. No, I don't want to open the portal. SQL Server Object Explorer. Let's try that one. SQL Server. Oh, come on. There's a way to get the Azure one to pop up here. You disagree with them? Okay. Crumbs. Azure Activity Log? No. I love how none of these are in order. Like there is no order to these. It's like, come on. Add SQL Server. There it is. I want the Azure Fritz stream. And now I have to key in my cool password. Make sure that nobody can see. as it stands, you're probably missing a lot of the fundamental concepts. No, we went through the stuff on the docs website. Remember my password, go. Hunter2, that was my password. You got it, Mr. Regs. Okay, did it connect? Databases. There's this. Come on, come on. Why does this take forever? I just want to see what's in my database. Open. Open, open, open.
Do it!
Please. This shouldn't be this hard. Today. Oh my gosh, it did create my table. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. Oh, come on, 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 come on. I just want to, I mean, I know I set up with a little basic database, but come on. I've got one table with maybe 3 records. You can easily get lost on all the stuff on F# for fun and profit. The code I see here looks like you know what I am doing. Fooled you. I do not know what I'm doing. At least as far as F# goes. There it is. All right. It did load. Now. All right. So I loaded it twice, and it come on, man! I want the split bar here. Fine. So let's go back over to here, and let's look at the data that it did. No enough. What is that? All right. So if I look at the test data that it submitted, I have a feeling we're going to see our answer in here. I'd like to resize that. All right. So there are 2 commits, and the second commit is where the username is Webflow. So I think I want to check for that and skip it during this processing. So, do we have a continue statement? So we're on the commit. So I'm going to say, right? Can I do this? If committer dot username, and I've got to do that caps because the type did that. Oh, and here's where I can do, right? This is, here's pattern matching, right? Yeah. Right, I want to do where this does not equal, right? I'm going to do that. And then basically continue. Can I do that? Does that work? Reloading. Yeah. Tell me it compiled successfully. Yeah, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on, run. Do it. I'm not even going to wait for you. I'm just going to run it. An error has occurred. Well, of course an error has occurred. End must not be less than start. Fair. Hots, you enjoy a video game from time to time? Heck yes! That's right, Mr. Regs. That doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing over there either. Do it again. Except this time, make it work. So it doesn't like that if continue. F# hots. That should not compile at all. Okay. I need to use the double angle brackets here. Why didn't it tell me that here? Yeah, we're 3 hours in. Boom. Uh-huh. And once again, it's not telling me build successful or anything over here, so I'm just going to run. Ever heard of Factorio? No. Is that like Vittorio? Not going there. I don't understand why it's not skipping that. Yeah, continue will not work. Time to start learning about filter functions. That's what I was thinking is should be a filter. If then expression, else expression. Right. Give me some information on the feedback of my build, and there we go. Is reserved for future use. I can't do a for continue? Right, I thought I could do... I mean, filter is the right way to go here. Yeah. All right, let's do that. That's a little bit more. Instead of webhook.commits, change this to seq.filter. And this is going to be... So what's my expression? For commits in SQ. All right, filter. There we go. So I'm doing a function. C committer username does not equal webflow. What? I thought I did. Whatever. Then I can get rid of this. But it doesn't know that this is on. It doesn't know that that's operating on the webhook.commits. Yeah. Webhook.commits, like that. Let's see what it errors out here. Or webhook commits passed into the filter. Look up on object of indeterminate type based on information prior, blah, 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 blah. Oh, dear God. Shut up. Line 58. So, yeah, that's not going to work. Oh, forget it. Hang on. I'm gonna space this out here so that I know a little bit more about what's going on here. In filtered commits, okay. Now, that doesn't look right to me at all. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, least fix point, is that I need to pipe this into that. And, right, if I save that, okay. Now if I run this, I should get it to go through. There we go. And if I reload here, I should have just a 5th record. If it ever returns. Bingo. All right. I don't want to drop and recreate. I'm gonna why I oughta truncate table metrics. You're kidding, right? What are you doing? Do it. Thank you. And now my table should be empty. Void loop and just pipe the result from filter to map function, says Malachi. While you're at it, you might want to replace the for stuff with a sequence iterator instead. Then you can pipe all the stuff together. Well, here's what I'm going to do, least fix point. I appreciate the input there, and that's exactly the type of thing that I want to learn. And I do appreciate that this is very much a C# programmers step into F#. Get string, parse string to JSON, extract commits, map commits to insert model, send to DB. Okay. So I'm out of time today. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to delete that data file because we don't need that anymore. Yeah, go away. And I'm going to paste this into my... Where'd it go? Into my learning repository here. And replace this. Updated with save to SQL database. And what I'd kindly ask, yeah, I mean, the change in mindset from object-oriented to functional is that you have a date that you pass through a series of you have data you have passed through a series of transformations. Yes. You can do most of this with link as well. So I'm out of time. What I'm going to kindly request is I see a bunch of you with some really good suggestions of ways to simplify this to make it more F# centric. Can you do me a favor and put together a quick pull request that shows how to simplify this? I know there's a way to do it. I'm not sure I understand it, but could you put together just a quick pull request and put a little message with it so that we can learn from it next time? Because I think I want to learn how you're doing that, but I'm running out of time. I'm literally 10 minutes late for my meeting at 1 o'clock. So what I need to do is I need to wrap up here. Now I committed into this repository. I should have seen a webhook fire that wrote data into that database, and I just want to confirm that real quick. That we just saw a webhook fire. There it is. So I should see if everything ran properly. If I go out to my monitor. Well, I normally start at 10 a.m. on Eastern time. 10 a.m. Eastern time, Will. And I'll be back again tomorrow to do it again. So there it is. It looks like it logged successfully. And I'm going to refresh over here. And I should see the record for my commit into the repository. And it's not there. Or am I still getting the spinning wheel here? Ta-ta-ta. Nope. It's not loading properly. I want to see my data. Show me the data. Show me the data. Select star from metrics. Well, let's see if it actually runs. Because I want to see that it loaded that one record in for me that I updated. Come on. Taking its good old time here. Finally got to catch a stream. Yeah. Yeah, talk to me, Gooseman. Let me catch up with you later today. I'll drop you a private message on Twitch. I'm running into a problem with sizing of an extension where right now it's only like a little corner of the video, and I'd like it to be the full width of the video so I can put almost like a frame around part of my video. It was a Webflow edit, was it? In which case we won't see it in the database. Okay. Where'd it go? If I click that open, yeah, it was a Webflow, so it won't save it. Okay. No big deal. That explains why it came through empty. So thanks so much, everybody who joined me. Thank you for helping me answer some of these questions around some of my F# learning here and getting me through this. It's most you can do is 50% of video. Okay, let me reach out to you afterwards here. But I think we're just about there. I really want to see. It sounds like least fix point. You have the more F# functional way to solve that, and I want to learn that. I want to see exactly how to do that so I can become a better F# programmer. But if anybody else has a good pull request they want to put in to simplify that for loop, I'd really appreciate it. Tomorrow I'll be back. We're going to be working on CoreWiki again, and I've got we'd finished our diff in CoreWiki last time, so I want to clean up some of the look and feel around that so that it's a nicer application, and I think we're almost ready to deploy. So thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in. Archive will be out on YouTube a little bit later today. And let's see if there's anybody out there we want to raid in programming. Take a quick look-see in the programming category. You know what? Clark.io is out there. Let's raid him. There he is, working and showing off the VS Code June release. So we will raid Clark.io. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow. Coming in hot. Oh, yeah. About 40 folks. EJ Vision, thanks for the follow. And we're going to head over. We're going to visit with Brian Clark. He's working in Visual Studio. He's showing all the cool new features that are there. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.